My friend from Australia said my audio sucks ass, so I bought a new mic. Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. Prayle here. Thank you for joining me again. So another day on the grind. We have just been up to Wisp Beach on our way back. The weather has been absolute shite today. The sun is shining in my face, which is why I've got the sunglasses on. I didn't want to wear them for this video, but I literally have no choice. It is literally blinding, and now the sun is moving around that way. I'm going to have to pull that down because I cannot see. Yeah, so not really done a lot of the weekend. Yeah, as you know, we moved into a new house recently, so just put a few pictures up on the wall, went swimming with the girls. Other than that, just a general chill out weekend. But with all that in mind, especially the weather today, it got me thinking about different things and different places where people drive. So like, for example, there's people in Norway that are like driving through mountains in the snow and getting snowed in, to different climates like the desert, like Saudi Arabia or Australia or places like that, where you're going to be running hot all day. Like, how do people cope with these different conditions? Because although as British people we love to moan about the weather, we do actually have it quite good here in the UK. We generally get mostly rain and overcast weather, and you might get a week of sun if you're lucky. It got me thinking about the conditions that drivers have to cope with. Like, imagine trying to cope with living and driving in -40 or even +40. It's baffling to think. Obviously, I've only ever driven in the UK, so I wouldn't be able to understand what you would need to do, what sort of things it would require to do those sorts of jobs in those sorts of climates. One of the questions that I've always wondered as well is, imagine it being -40 outside, snowing blizzard, and you really need a piss. What do you do? I mean, there's only so many bottles you can have, right? That one has definitely got me a bit curious. Now, even to the fact of some countries like Canada and America, where you have like bears in the wilderness, would you want to get out of your cab in the middle of the night to go for a wee? I mean, I'm talking obviously a bit more rural and a bit more extreme sort of cases, but we're truckers, we go everywhere, right? So yeah, it is baffling. Do you know what? I think I know just the person to talk to, actually. Gonna give him a ring now. Let's see if he answers. This is my mate from Australia. We're gonna talk about different types of climates and what it's like to be trucking over.
What can I do for you, mate?
So
you have my undivided attention.
So I was driving around earlier and the weather was shit, and I was just thinking to myself, like, all the different climates around the world, like, it must be so different driving, say, in Australia like you have compared to here, because we get very mild, modest weather. Like, we might get a week's worth of sun, but it's usually just rain and overcast weather. So I just want to know the differences, really. Like, how did you cope with sleeping in the truck in the heat, and just anything, like a little insight that, you know, would be different to us?
I mean, you guys get a broad the two, like, in one day, right? It can go from sunny to wet and things like that, which is, you know, in some states here it's the same. But how do we deal with the heat? Man, there's still some people out there who don't actually have bunk coolers. So we've spoken before. This is not a new topic. Like, ages ago we first met, you know, how you discuss the prices of bread and the differences in countries. So we have discussed it before in minor detail. But where you guys have heaters, we're stuck with, well, not stuck with, we only have air conditioners. I don't even think a heater exists here. But there are a lot of people who don't have air conditioning systems in their trucks still, and we've done it. I think only one truck we had that had an ice pack. We call it an ice pack.
Wow.
It's
So
the brand.
so yeah, I guess that makes sense. Obviously, it being a hot country in general.
That
I
probably
mean,
didn't answer any of the question, but it made sense in my brain.
well, yeah, it's an air conditioning unit in the lorry, rather to
Yeah,
a night
yeah,
heater, which we have here. I did one
yeah.
night out not so long ago, and it was the middle of summer, and it was about 25 degrees at night. And to us, 25 degrees is hot, and obviously we have no aircon unless we turn the engine on and leave it running for a little while. The best you get is leaving a little gap in the window, and I found that horrendous. So I can imagine.
Dude,
Go.
if we'd have done that over here, right? Okay, in summer you have to pull up as early as you can and have a decent amount of gap between pulling up, eating, showering, and actually going to bed, because the engine, like the heat generated from the engine and the gearbox, and you have to let that cool down, otherwise it literally just is a heater block, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, man, you see people run their trucks for 12 hours just sitting there idling, and it thrashes the hell out of them. It's bad for it, but just run their truck all night with the air conditioning on because they don't have an ice pack. Now, oh man, you really do not get sleep until about 3 o'clock in the morning, until about 6 o'clock in the morning, because that's when it's the coolest.
Wow, that explains a lot why you used to do night work. You could come home and just
Yeah, always,
yes.
always, because you have to sleep when it's dark. But the coolest part, I guess, is from in the death hour, which is like 3 to 6 or something like that. But your 25 degrees at night is like our cool night.
Yeah, I can
Like,
imagine.
that is a proper cool night. We've had like 32 at night.
I mean, stupid question. This is probably a bit out there, but I'm just going to ask it because some people are probably wondering as well. If you left a gap in the window, is there a chance that you might get a few spiders coming?
Bugs, man, the bugs are like the worst. Yeah.
What are you talking, mosquitoes?
Mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You get eaten alive. Like, we had a couple of mosquitoes in here in our house. It was just gnarly, man. It was gnarly. Yeah. Beck's going to come over here and get a real fright.
Yeah. So for a little bit of context, we have a mutual friend, and she's literally about to move out there at the end of the month with Jake, and she's going to start trucking out there. So that would be interesting for her. What I was going to say to you is, it's now obviously there. It's now coming up to your summer, isn't it? Whereas here it's coming up to our winter.
Yeah, are we in summer? Yeah, are we in summer? We're in spring.
Here in spring, but it's not going to be long until it is summer,
December
isn't
is summer.
it? December, summer.
Yeah, man, but we're still hitting like 37 degrees in spring.
Wow, 37 degrees in
It's
spring.
bananas. But yeah. Sometimes you have to flip your bonnet over so that the heat just escapes somewhere other than staying under. Yeah.
I can imagine.
But
Yeah.
but you have to think of the other, put it in context. Like, yeah, we're hot. We got a lot of desert here in Australia, but think about like deathly cold, because being hot in summer, we can still go outside, right?
Mhm.
Like, we can still wander about. If we need to take a shit somewhere, we can take a shit somewhere. But think of the contrast, like Meg 20. Like
Yeah,
Canada,
so
like you and I love Canada.
it's funny you should say that, because before I called you, I was actually talking about, I wonder what it's like to be trucking in, say, Canada or Norway.
Yeah, man.
And imagine having to get out in the middle of the night and having to take a piss. Like, what do you do in that situation? Like, you can piss in a bottle, can't you? But like, there's only so many bottles you can fill up.
If you got a lay cable, man, You're gonna get some cold bollocks.
Yeah. If you don't understand what that
even
means, that's
further-
Australian slang for having a shit.
Laying cable.
Yeah.
I was trying to be nice about it, but it's right. But it's everything. Like where like you guys don't have cab air conditioners for when you sleep. We don't have cab heaters. Like they're equipped. Like everyone's trucks are equipped for, I guess, your climate.
Yeah, I
They're
guess
all
so.
they're all the same base model though. Like we have a lot of American Camwers. You guys have a lot of European. Like obviously you have the European trucks, but
Yeah, the cab overs, yeah. But for example, like in Australia, do you do a lot of your maintenance on the side of the road? Because obviously some of the distances you do, like I know one of the runs you was doing from Sydney to Brisbane. So if you had, I don't know, a tyre blowout, what would you do? Would you do that yourself, or
change it yourself.
you change it yourself? Yeah.
A lot of people change. Yeah, a lot of people change it themselves. There's on the trailers you carry spares, or it just depends which tyre, really. Hey, a lot of people don't, and you have to wait. If you're 6 hours into your trip, or if you're up Kempsey, Clybucca, you know, something like that, and have to wait for a tyre person to come out, and it'll cost you $1,000 for a tyre.
Wow. Because obviously here everything's so close. Everything, like if you have a breakdown on the motorway, you're never more than sort of 60 minutes, 45 minutes away from a tyre man being there to change your tyre. So a lot of truck drivers in the UK wouldn't even know where to start with changing a tyre. I'm lucky because before I came into this industry, that's actually what I did, was changing truck tyres. But even so,
Are you even allowed to?
I don't think we are, to be fair. Not roadside. I don't think we'd be legally able to do it.
I wonder what our legalities are and what we're allowed to change and not do, because I know you have to we can't touch brakes. A lot of companies do, but man, you'd be stupid to do it, because if you have a brake failure, then you are in some serious shit.
Yeah, I can imagine that wouldn't go down well, would it? With the what do you call it over there? Because we have the VOSA, the DVSA that pull us over. What do they call it there in Australia?
NHVR, National Heavy Vehicle Regulator.
Okay.
They're just a government body in place. Are they government or independent? I don't know. In place to enforce the fines.
Is it like the same as America, where they bring you onto like a scale and they weigh you and? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we similar here,
And
but they
you
don't.
get pineapples in the rectal.
Lots of fines. Yeah.
It's getting worse, man. You know my history of my fines. It's so easy as a professional driver to just get fined, but
yeah, this is true. There's a bit of a delay, so
no.
I was just going to say that obviously, like the same instance where obviously you would have to change your own tyres in, say, the cold climates like Canada or like Norway in the mountains or whatever, they would have to put they wouldn't change their own tyres, but they would have to put like snow chains on and stuff like that, things that
I was just about to say this.
Yeah, we wouldn't obviously do here in England, because if we get snow, it's probably like my fingernail that much. So it's pretty.
I thought it snowed a lot more there.
Not really. I mean, we have probably a year where we might get 5 inches, but
that's sad.
Yeah, I mean, 5 inches is not very good in anyone's.
Depends how you use it, really, isn't it? But
edit that out.
Like, it's funny. Fuck that. Leave it in. It's funny. Like the amount of things that you carry in terms of service or this or that, and the amount of stuff we carry in tools like jacks and tire irons and just the things you need on the road, water, oils, everything like that. And then you look at, say, Canada and the US, they carry full set of chains, nudge, like all your tow hooks for everything. Yeah.
Do you have anything?
It makes me think.
Over there, like I was watching a vlog of an Australian vlogger, not Australian, sorry, Canadian vlogger, sorry, and he had his brake lines freeze on, so that's minus 40s. So obviously that's a
So, so you know I'm technical. You know I know enough about that kind of stuff. So what happens is their brake shoes basically freeze on the inside of the drum, or like the S cam and everything. So even though you release it with the air, the booster doesn't allow it to kind of release. So you have to get under there and smack it with a hammer.
right.
I don't know. Have they ever used a torch? I'm not sure.
A torch?
You learn a lot off yeah, like a blowtorch, like fire.
Oh, okay, you're right. Yes, yes.
Like you just sit there and heat it up so it does release. But I've not experienced it. But you do learn a lot on like YouTube and stuff, and it really makes you realize how much you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like I was saying before I started this video, saying it's just it really the different, like even just down to driving in South America or something like that, where you're going through like jungles and stuff, or in India where you go around these little ridges on the side of mountains. There's just so many different.
Love watching those.
Oh, they make make my stomach go every time I watch them.
The anxiety goes off the charts. Yeah, you're right. I think it would be. I'd love to do it. I don't think life's long enough to be able to do all the things that we'd like to do. I think I've realised, but just in terms of what a driver has to go through in different climates, and you know, for example, Bet coming over here from there, like you guys have it very cruisy. Over here, you work as you heard from Zach, right?
Yeah.
But it's yeah, just everywhere in the world. Like no matter where you go, is going to be vastly different.
Well, that's, I suppose, like even what you're saying about Zach, so Big Wheel Zach, so some of you might know him. He's another vlogger. He's moved to Australia, to the other side, to near Perth, and the work he's doing is very rural, and so it's a lot more hands-on. Like he'll be on the forklift lifting stuff up, and the trucks that he's driving are like, they're so old, some of them.
Clapped as hell.
Yeah.
They're clapped as fuck. Like, I don't think. Pardon my French. But I think if the style of work he's doing and the scope of work and his daily duties are so different to, I guess, a regular up and down the highway job. Like he is getting an education in all trucking.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's the rough guys. That's we're gonna lift a container with 2 forklifts type thing.
Like, yeah. Well, like even like you haven't done multi combinations, have you? I mean, you've driven them, but like not like only in yards and stuff.
2 trailers?
Yeah.
Oh, I've driven them about, but I'm not licensed. But yeah.
Yeah. So
I haven't done massive distance, but all my family's got multi-combination stuff, so it's all the same, really.
It was the transport company you started with your brother, isn't it, that got you into sort of trucking, really, wasn't it?
Well, we tried this. I don't want to say we tried, because we did, it was out of our control as to why it didn't work the first time. But yeah, we did start another company just in COVID, so 2019, and man, you know, I was slinging chains. We were moving anything, any piece of machinery up and down the East Coast. Like, it was a ton of fun, but an immense amount of work. Like, you could be going to a cattle station, you could be going anywhere. And to that as well, we actually got stuck in sand out at the cattle station. Like,
oh, wow.
We weren't really equipped to prepare. We had to get pulled out by a Mercedes 6x6. So an ex-army vehicle. So it's man, the stories, but just the sheer scope of what you have to deal with here. If I came over to the UK, if I hit black ice, I would shit a brick. I wouldn't know what to do.
Well, to be fair,
you know what I mean?
I haven't even had that experience myself, and I've been doing it for 6 years. So
What do you mean? You guys get snow. Does that not mean you get black ice, or how does it work?
once when I was working on the aggregates at a company, I won't say the company's name, but I was doing aggregates and it started snowing, and we went into work and we got in and they said, "Oh yeah, you can't go out today. It's too dangerous." And I was thinking, it's 4 inches of snow. Like, could you imagine if in Canada they stopped working when it was 4 inches of snow?
Oh, dude. Well, it's funny. I was watching some program. It wasn't Highway 401 or anything like that, but they clear the snow with the big snow plows on the trucks,
Yep.
the semi-trailer snow plows, and then they throw down like salt, or like in Canada they throw down beetroot juice, and they throw down
Well, actually,
they
one thing I do know is when I went to
bags.
Canada is they're not actually allowed to use salt because it's harmful to the wildlife. So they use
Correct. I take that back.
gravel, like
Sand and other aggregate. That's right.
because I was saying to my family over there when we was driving around, it's like, how comes everyone's got a smashed windscreen here and no one seems to get them fixed? Because that gravel flicks up and smashes windscreen, so people just leave them until they physically go.
So you know, if you don't clean the snow off the top of your car and it flies off into another car, it will destroy it.
Well, I can imagine if
If
it
you've
was
got like
enough,
this much
yeah, if there's
snow,
enough of it, yeah.
dude,
I,
I didn't.
Well, that's another question as well. Like, are they supposed to scrape it off the top of their trailers? You parked up overnight and you're supposed to scrape it off the top?
Not off, I don't believe off the top of the trailer, but they have to go around with a shovel and like chisel off like the landing legs, and they have to wipe all their indicators and stuff, like get rid of it. I was watching,
Okay.
I don't know, some YouTube video. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's all like I say, like the differences. One thing I was going to say, I want to touch on actually very quickly because I'm going to have to wrap this up soon because I've got to get back. Is
It's midnight here, just about.
Yeah, oh yeah, and also yeah, you need to get to sleep because you've got work as well. Regulations in terms of that, because obviously we have a tachograph here. We put our card in. We have 4.5 hours drive time, 6 hours work time. Have to take a 45-minute break. What are the regulations like in Australia?
What do you want to know? Do you want to know what our interstate regulations, or are you alluding to our around the town where we are unmetered?
Just give us a quick summary of both, because obviously I know because I've spoke to you
So
about this before.
yeah, so around town within 100 kilometers of your nominated home base, you do not have to record how many hours you've worked.
Right. Okay.
So, but if you have an accident, you're going to be in some serious shit. But I want to say it's rare that you get into some serious crap. But yeah, we've spoken about it, and with the group as well, that the amount of hours that I can work, like I can work all day locally, and then I can start my logbook and drive all night interstate,
Right.
because they have no ability to kind of measure, if it
Right.
makes sense, how far we've gone. So interstate, we can drive for 5 hours 15 minutes, have a half an hour break, drive another 5 hours 15 minutes, have a half an hour break. So that puts us at 10 and a half, and then we can drive till 12 hours. But there's different license classes. If you're accredited to do fatigue management, you get extra hours, and it is confusing.
Okay.
But yeah,
So,
drive 12, rest 12.
so would you say that's a good thing or a bad thing? Because it's a mixed sort of bunch here. Most people they welcome it because it means the companies can't drive them into the ground. But then also on the other end of
See,
it
that's the difference, though.
is
That's the difference between our countries. Is if you work for a company, your sole goal is to make sure you are making as much money for your boss as you can, because there's perks associated with that. Newer equipment, bonuses, you get paid more. But we don't just turn up and it's a job that we, it's hard to explain. We care about how productive the truck is.
right.
Whereas I know that over there, it's go do the minimum and then go home. That I've seen.
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
Whereas over here, if your boss calls you up and goes, "Oh, dude, can you throw in an extra run for me? I'd really appreciate it." It's that, "Yeah, man, no worries, I'll get it done."
Okay, cool. So, right. Yeah, that is interesting. So what you're saying is that we're lazy and you're not. Is that what you're trying to say?
Basically, you've sent the wrong people to Australia. Is what I'm trying to say.
We sent all the workers over, right?
You're cocked up, basically. And ours will forever be a better country.
Well, like we said the other day, there was a thing that we saw, and it said the Australian immigration officer said, "Do you have a criminal record?" And the guy says, "No, do I still need one of those to get into Australia?" But
pretty much, eh?
On a serious note, cheers for coming on and talk to me about this. I am gonna wrap it up now because I know you want to get to sleep, and I've got to get back.
I've got to write some emails first, but yeah, we'll sort something out. We'll talk soon, no doubt.
Well, thank you so much. What I'll do is I will leave the link to your channel in the bottom in the description, so if people want to check that out, they can do. It's Jake and his beautiful Mrs. Kira.
Just go back a couple of videos, the ones that say we're back. I think there's like 3 or 4 of those.
Oh yeah, because he says we're back and then he never actually comes back for long enough.
We just get so busy.
Yeah,
we get so busy, but I don't know, maybe we'll do some videos soon.
Well, hopefully you're going to start doing some of those polishing videos for us that you promised, right?
Well, we'll give it a go. We'll do what we can.
All right, mate. Well, thank you, and we'll call it a wrap. Well, what an interesting conversation that was with Jake there. I really appreciate Jake coming on the channel, so thank you for that, Jake. And I think we answered some good questions on there. We touched on some really good points about the differences of the industry, both in different climates, not just in Australia, but also in Canada and America and places like that. I think, yeah, it was a good debate. There were some questions that obviously we didn't quite get around to answering, mainly because we probably didn't know the answers. So that's where you guys come in. If you do know any of the answers to some of the questions that we said, then yeah, just let us know in the comments below. It helps out all of the new drivers that do watch my channel. I'm sure they would appreciate the feedback there. And if I can just ask you guys one little favour. So 80% of you guys that have been coming back to the channel on a regular basis, so someone that keeps watching my channel, haven't actually subscribed yet. So if you could do me a favour, hit that subscribe button, give us a little like. It really helps the channel out more than you possibly know, and the bigger the channel gets, the better the content can get. So thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you guys on the next one.